We might just get hit with the Rico.
Should we sacrifice Ed Woodward and Florentino Perez to the footballing gods, and what next for the Super League? For cheap good quality football jerseys, go over to www.jerseyfifa.com, a link will be left in the description, and use code atlantisfootball to get 5% off. Now before we talk about human sacrifice, I need to tell you about the OneFootball app. Let's say it's a Wednesday night in 2025 and you just came down to the living room after a long day at work in your bedroom. You put on your free COVID masks and sit down to watch the European Super League. Well, the OneFootball app is going to allow you to keep up to date with all the metrics and statistics from those matches. You'll be able to see if Tottenham have got the ball into Barcelona's half yet, or if Arsenal have managed to score yet in the Super League. If you like this channel, you'll definitely love this app, so I'll leave it linked in the description below. So a wise man once said, a wise man makes his own decisions and an ignorant man follows public opinion. But that has no relevance to this topic, so I coined my own wise man phrase, and it goes like this. A wise man once said, a wise man does not try to collude with billionaire football club owners to start a Super League to replace a Champions League in an attempt to funnel billions of pounds into the pockets of owners, and in doing so, kill the competition of football. However, Ed Woodward and Florentino Perez did not listen to this very specific advice, and now Ed Woodward has resigned from Manchester United, well, at the end of this year, and Florentino Perez is on his third bottle of wine of the night. After it was announced that Chelsea, Atletico Madrid and Manchester City had pulled out of the Super League, Ed Woodward resigned from his position of doing important things at Manchester United, and will leave at the end of 2021, giving United enough time to find another person who knows nothing about football to do important things revolving around football. Since then, the 4 other English clubs have also withdrawn, all but sealing the death of the European Super League, at least for now anyway. Florentino Perez, on the other hand, seems to have taken a different route out of this mess. He initially said that he wasn't worried about teams dropping out of the proposed Super League, which does seem strange when the whole model is based on having those teams in the league. But he says that he is confident that PSG and Bayern Munich will join them in the end. But when exactly is the end? Well, Perez is 74 now, so for him the end is near, but the conversation about a European Super League has only just started. After all, conversations about the Premier League being formed had been going on throughout the 80s, so things don't rise and fall all at once. Perez and Woodward, along with Andrea Agnelli and the Glazers, are the main characters that have been left with egg on their face, having so boldly pushed for this despite not even having a substantial plan behind the idea. Now, we could all get together one evening in order to sacrifice a small old man and a cheeky banker, but we can't because of COVID, so we'll have to sacrifice them over a Zoom call. But even then, it would seem like a waste of a good bonfire. But how will the master geniuses behind the European Super League pick up the pieces and try to go again with their plans? Well, I did a relatively good job of predicting how this whole scenario would go in a video I released the other day, talking about how I thought there wasn't any chance that this would happen and that the clubs would end up pulling out. Perez seemed to want to go ahead with this anyway, but in the end we all know it's just going to be each club dropping out until it's Juve and Real Madrid left holding hands in a room. What Florentino Perez should do is completely retreat, back down from the plans and pretend like nothing happened. First of all, this would be hilarious if they went back to normal and didn't mention it again, and secondly, they've managed to do a lot of damage to the future of a European Super League. The backlash, particularly in England, wasn't coming from a position of not wanting a challenger to the Champions League, but from not wanting the anti-competitive Americanization that came with it. If United and Real Madrid and whoever else had proposed the Super League idea, but with no guaranteed places for founding clubs, then this could have potentially been received a lot better by fans, particularly as it seems like these clubs do still wish to remain in their domestic leagues. In this case, it would essentially just be an alternative to the Champions League and wouldn't attack the essential values of football. If I was in charge of creating a new Super League, what I would aim for is to start no earlier than 2025. This is because saying you want to completely rip up the format of European football is one thing, but saying you want to do it as soon as possible is just crazy, and will send the football fan base into a frenzy. See, if I was to come to you and ask you if you wanted to go for a drink in London sometime, you may say yes, but you may also say no, because you're a 12-year-old living in India. But if I come to your door at 11 PM and ask you to go for a drink right now, you'd think I'm crazy and say no straight away. So if anything, it's the abruptness that has really created this vehement backlash. If they gave a date far enough in the future, then people would give some backlash still, but will likely forget about it in a week, when the next trending topic comes along. But also, they can't go into this with a no relegation selective entry model, as this just destroys competition. Instead, what they should do is copy UEFA's new Champions League format, but instead just call it the Super League. After over a decade in the education system, I can testify that plagiarising a good piece of work is always better than doing a bad piece of work yourself. This is because the The new UEFA Champions League format for 2024 onwards actually looks quite good, guaranteeing every club at least 10 matches and see a maximum of 19 games, a minimum of maybe 17 or 18 to win the damn thing, instead of the 13 at the moment. I can do a full explanation of why I like the new Champions League format along with some other concerns I may have about it in a separate video, so if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe, click the bell, like, and check out some of my other videos as well. So as I said, I think a format like the 2024 Champions League format, or something along those lines with more of a league format than a group stage and a knockout competition, is the best way to set up this Super League. Their public image is already so fucked that completely stealing UEFA's format is not really going to affect Perez and co at this point, so they might as well go along with it. Then what they are going to have to do is make some slight changes to make it look like they came up with the idea themselves, which could come from either changing the funding for each club, or maybe changing how many clubs qualify from each country that is accepted. But fundamentally, a European Super League is going to be hard to construct without UEFA. UEFA have already made the Champions League more league-like, with more games and therefore the big teams playing each other more often, so the draw of the Super League has diminished. I think that Perez and co should instead focus on a World Super League. This is because there's not a major difference between the European Super League and the Champions League. However, with a World Super League, we could get teams from Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, China and the United States playing against European teams like Real Madrid and Manchester United, which would create a unique product. It would also attract an even wider audience, with fans from those nations now having a direct affiliation with the tournament. This has been something that has been put out before by FIFA under the guise of an expansion of the Club World Cup. If you'd like to see me make a video about how I would structure and format a World Super League, subscribe to the channel and then leave a comment telling me what you would do as well. Another potential option that I think could work a lot better than a European Club Super League is an International Super League. Right now we have the World Cup and the Euros, which combined have about 14 or 15 games being played by each side over a 4-year period. That means that fans only really get 15 or more like 8 to 10 meaningful games from their country every 4 seasons. The European qualification process is complete dross as well. The top sides are basically playing sides they are so much better than that there would probably be a few leagues difference between them if this was club football. Instead, what I would do is keep the World Cup with the current format of 32 teams every 4 years, blah blah blah, but instead replace the European Championships with an International European Super League. When it was a 16-team tournament, the Euros always felt too short, going from the group stage to the quarterfinals. UEFA managed to make the format even worse when they made it 24 teams, and now no one knows who the fuck is qualifying from which group, with Portugal drawing 3 games in the group stage in 2016, coming third and then still end up progressing and then eventually winning the tournament. Instead, we should have just the top 10 European sides, according to the FIFA rankings, getting a place in the tournament automatically, and then another 10 sides joining through a group qualification process with other low ranking European sides, and then you'd get a league of 20. From here you can make the format similar to the new Champions League format by having say 6 games each, with opponents coming from seedings or some shit like that, and then the top 4 go through automatically, the bottom 8 go home, and the middle 8 play a seeded playoff game, with say 5th playing 12th and 6th playing 11th, etc. 4 from those playoffs progress to the quarterfinals against the top 4, and then it's a familiar format to the final. As I said before, if you want me to do either of those ideas for the Club Super League, whatever I said, the European International Super League, then put which one you want me to do a video on in the comment section below, after you of course subscribe to the channel. Give the video a like, and then after you've done all that, check out some of my other videos which will be linked in the description below.